Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have my dad filming. His birthday his birthday was yesterday, so we had to celebrate. But I know Halloween is already over, practically. And so I'm just gonna take this off. Yeah. I hope everyone had a fun one too, so today we're gonna be reacting to only 3 videos, so we are not gonna do for a lot of videos since he's tired for now. Right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Alright.
All I need to be happy is a rope to skip. I'm serious. I'll tell you why. Because a little jump rope can turn any bad situation into a real fun time. I learned this from the last time I went trick-or-treating. I'd spent the whole day perfecting my Harley Quinn costume, but the act just didn't feel complete until I picked up my jump rope and started skipping it. The backyard was my jump rope world championship stage, and everyone was thoroughly dazzled by my moves. Well, everyone except Kat. She came by a couple hours after sundown and immediately started cramping my style.
Come on, Tracy. Let's go trick-or-treating before all the good candy's gone. My name is Harley. Can't you see? Whatever, weirdo. Let's go. I'd rather stay here and skip rope all night. Your Catwoman costume isn't even good. It's enough for candy. I'm not crazy like you. So you only dressed up for candy? That's kind of lame. Well, it's also fun to just show off. You've got a point. I guess I'll go. Good. Now leave the rope. Harley Quinn doesn't skip rope. Fine.
That poser ended up dragging me all over the neighborhood that night. She took all of my candy, and when she got scared, she made me walk her all the way home. She lives an entire mile away from me, too. So inconsiderate. I never even told her what happened. I was walking home all alone super late that night, and I didn't even have my jump rope. What a drag. But then I noticed this older boy who was dressed as the Joker had come up behind me and started following me. I didn't recognize him. And all of the Jokers, he decided that Jared Leto was the way to go. Lame. I turned around and faced him.
Who are you?
Why, I'm the Joker, of course. Your one true love.
Why's that?
Don't you know? We're meant to be together. Harley Quinn always falls for the Joker.
Haven't you seen the new movie? I dumped you. You're gross.
That made him mad. This ain't the movie, sweetheart. I'm telling you, the Joker always gets his Harley Quinn. He then pulled out a knife. He swung at me, but
Yeah, and let's just say that I still haven't seen the movie, so don't judge me. Have you seen it?
What's that? Harley Quinn?
Yeah, the Birds of Paradise and Harley Quinn.
No, I haven't watched it. Started out too slow for me, and I stopped the movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I have no idea.
ran. I thought I'd outrun him, so I ran into the woods to cut across to my house. Boy, that was a bad idea. He caught up with me quick as soon as I got into the trees. He tackled me and pinned me down into the dirt. I screamed for help, but he put his hand over my mouth.
Vaping made my anxiety worse.
It held me in that sad place.
Baby girl, I'm just gonna give you a little reminder that you belong to me. So be happy about it. I thought I was going to die. He sliced my forehead with a smiley face, real slow. It hurt so bad, but I couldn't move anything at all. He was on top of me and held me down. But when the blood ran down into my eyes, I freaked. I squirmed and flailed until I got just one leg loose from his restraint. Then I kneed him straight in the balls with all my might. He fell back shouting and dropped his knife, holding his hand on his crotch. I picked up the knife before he could react, gripped it real tight, and then plunged it right into his stupid eyeball. Oh, how those screams were music to my ears.
No stopping now.
I thought. So I got on him and took the knife out of his left eye and shoved it into the right. Then I stabbed him again and again until there was nothing left of his stupid wannabe face but pure carnage. He went limp, and I caught my breath.
All I wanted to do was skip some friggin' rope. So now, you're gonna help me out.
I raised the knife way up high with both hands and stuck it into his gut, then sliced all the way across his belly. I pried open all the skin and fat and exposed all the wonderful organic cordage within. I pulled out a nice long section of his small intestine and severed it with the blade. It was slippery, but it worked. I stood up and found my balance, then started doing what I wanted to do the whole time. Skip rope. Now, don't you believe me when I tell you that skipping rope can make any situation better?
Okay, that was pretty messed up. Pretty much, actually. Okay,
Alright.
we're gonna see the next one now.
Which one is this one?
Nightmare on a Plane.
Okay.
It's a Halloween special. I have not seen.
It was Halloween, and the flight had suffered a huge delay for whatever reason, which led to most of the passengers being reseated on other flights, leaving only a handful of us.
I guess.
Okay, hold on, guys.
It's actually paused.
Let's see how that look. That look better?
Kind of spooky. Okay, we're back. We just getting some turning off these lights. I really don't want to, but
And by us, I mean those unlucky enough not to have been reseated or unable to afford a hotel, stuck at the airport. Despite the long wait, I actually preferred sharing the cabin with fewer passengers, which is something usually one could only accomplish in first class. I enjoyed the luxury of being able to choose my seat once I boarded the flight. While most of the passengers had decided to sit at the far back section of the plane, I chose a quiet corner seat in the front section where there were just a few other passengers that appeared to know each other, judging by how close they were seated together. The flight was originally intended to take place during the day, but the delay had resulted in an overnight flight. Not a big deal, but I did miss seeing the awesome view from outside the window, which eventually led me to focus my attention to the interior of the cabin.
now this looks like the same dude I had seen on Corey Kenson's one of his videos, and he looked like one of those guys who was like trying to watch out for the watch on the security camera, and
That's a guy right there?
yeah.
I thought that was a girl.
I wouldn't say that, but you know, okay.
I'm just saying. I thought it was a girl.
Oh, well, no, that's a guy.
Okay.
Despite the fact that most planes often appear larger on the inside, the enclosed space always made me feel a little uncomfortable and usually resulted in a persistent need for a distraction, such as reading a book or listening to music. I was about to pull out my phone when I was suddenly approached by the flight attendant asking me if I wouldn't mind sitting with the other passengers. Albeit confused, I agreed to the unusual request, since I was traveling fairly light and I figured there must have been a good reason for it, although I did regret asking why when I had the chance. Shortly after changing seats and settling in, the entire cabin plunged into an eerie silence. I probably wouldn't have thought that much of it had it not been for the conversations between the other passengers that had quickly faded into frightened whispers of shock and disbelief. Have you ever felt that strange sensation of the atmosphere around you instantly becoming heavy with sorrow and the thought of never being cheerful again? That's exactly what it felt like, and even more so as I looked to see what everyone was getting so upset about. I couldn't quite believe my eyes at first, and the notion of sharing a small cabin with a dead person for the remainder of the flight was extremely unsettling. I knew that the flight staff were probably just following procedure, but I could still feel my stomach turning in the face of this morbid turn of events. At that point, I decided to head on to the restroom. I eventually ended up just taking a breather and telling myself to get a grip. I wasn't the only passenger on the plane after all. After a few minutes of finally pulling myself together enough to try to get through the rest of the flight, a loud thud shook the door. Suddenly, the banging stopped and all I could hear was my elevated breathing. Strangely, I felt less safe alone locked inside the restroom than I did outside with the rest of the passengers, so I waited just a few minutes before cautiously opening the door. I couldn't see any sign of danger as I peered through the gap in the door and prepared to vacate the restroom. Just as I was about to discreetly return to my seat, the same flight attendant from before appeared out of nowhere, almost hitting me with the service trolley. It looked like she had just finished serving fresh beverages to some of the passengers, and I remember thinking how strange it was that she appeared oblivious to the loud banging on the restroom door that had occurred just moments prior. She remained completely speechless, and there was something off about the way she looked at me. You know that weird stare you give someone when you suspect that they're onto you for whatever reason? I eventually broke eye contact, and she continued down the aisle to serve drinks to the rest of the passengers. I quickly returned to my seat, having almost completely forgotten about the corpse that had been seated in the corner behind me. I still can't believe I managed to walk right past it without even noticing. I guess I was still a little distracted by the fact that none of the other passengers appeared to have heard the loud banging on the door either. Perhaps it wasn't as loud as I remember, or maybe it was just a prank. It was Halloween after all. At least I had a spooky Halloween tale to share with my young nephews back at home. Even if it meant not being able to share the entire truth of what really happened on board that flight. At least until now. Folks, thanks so much for watching. Please share, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I write, narrate, and animate.
Okay, this is our last video. This is our last video for today. And it's about McDonald's, like scary stories of it. You ready?
Wait. How is this something scary at McDonald's? It's McDonald's.
Yeah, but they always have like stories about like Ronald McDonald, like, you know, being alive and then like trying to attack people and stuff like that.
Ronald McDonald was alive.
Well, if someone was dressed as him.
Yeah.
I still wouldn't trust it though.
Why?
Because I hate clowns.
What's wrong with clowns?
I just hate clowns now.
Clowns are our friend.
Not when they made all those movies and stuff.
Oh.
We have our differences. I understand that. But, yeah, no.
Let's see what goes on.
I work at McDonald's, as I'm a high school student and just turned 16, so it's a decent first job for me.
Wow,
About a month ago, I was working in the drive-thru taking people's orders. It was a Friday night, and things were finally quieting down at about 10 p.m. A car pulled up to the drive-thru, and I began to take their order. After I spoke and asked them what they would like, they didn't respond. It was just silence for a few seconds. I repeated myself, The person responded by saying my name,
Yeah.
and not just my first name, but my full name, first, middle, and last.
Okay.
I realized it must be someone that I knew, but I didn't recognize the voice or the person. I was confused. I asked who it was. They didn't answer. They just repeated my name one more time. They then drove off. It was a man wearing sunglasses. I didn't recognize him at all. I was pretty spooked for the rest of my shift. After I got off, I went home and told my parents. They were just as confused as I was. To this day, I don't know who it was, and every time I think about it, it creeps me out. This happened to me about a year ago. I was hanging out with some of my friends from high school. One of them worked at McDonald's, and we stopped by because he wanted to say hi to one of his coworkers. There were 4 of us, and it was about 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Our friend went inside, and the 3 of us chilled outside because it was a nice night. I don't think there were any customers at the time, besides us, but after a minute or so we noticed a man riding a 3-wheeled bike around the corner. He had a speaker attached to the back of his bike, which was playing music. We all watched as he rode by us and around the parking lot. He started riding laps around the restaurant. My friends and I thought this was funny and made a couple jokes about it. After about 10 laps, he rode up to us and stopped. He had long hair and a slight beard. He was wearing baggy clothes and appeared to be in his late 20s. He stopped his bike about 5 feet away from us and turned down his music. We all looked at him. "You guys want to know something?" he said. "Sure," I said. He responded with, "I'm about to rob this place." We all looked at each other confused. One of my friends laughed a little. We figured he was joking, but it was kind of a weird thing to say. He just stared at us with a slight grin on his face for a couple seconds. I turned and looked and saw my friend was still talking to his coworker friend at the counter. I kind of wanted to leave. Finally, the man spoke again. "I'd get out of here if I was you guys," he said. "Why's that?" my friend asked. The man said to just leave. My friend said no. I was surprised, but I realized there were 4 of us and 1 of him, and he wasn't any bigger than any of us. The man stood there next to his bike for about 30 seconds just staring at us. Finally, he got back on his bike and rode off. We felt tough for possibly preventing a robbery, as much as we didn't know how serious the man was, or if he was on drugs or something. We all went home, and the next morning I woke up to see my friend post in our group chat a link to a news story. It was about a local bank that had been broken into the previous night. A rock was thrown through the window, and a man was arrested inside. It was the same man.
See, I wasn't even surprised. I knew this one.
When I was in college, I worked at McDonald's during the summer. One day, I was working on a Saturday, and I was behind the counter taking people's orders.
Pretty messed up.
It was going pretty well for a weekend, until a man came up and asked for 2 Big Macs. I put in the order, he paid, and I gave him his receipt. I then helped the next person in line. About a minute later, he came back up and said he was charged for 2 Big Macs, but he only wanted 1. I told him he ordered 2, because I know I heard him say 2 Big Macs. He got angry when I said that, and said, "Don't put words in my mouth, I know what I said." "I'm sorry, sir, I wasn't trying to," I said. He then told me not to get smart with him. I could tell he was a short-tempered man. I apologized again, and offered to give him money back for a Big Mac and only give him the 1, but he said he didn't want that anymore. He then started saying that I should be fired. I told him to calm down, but that didn't work. He started raising his voice, and everybody in the restaurant was beginning to notice. One of my coworkers, Jack, came up and started talking to the man. After a brief conversation with Jack, he said he didn't want anything and he just wanted to leave. We gave him his money, and I thought the situation was over. That is, until he leaned in over the counter and said to me, "When you get off, I'll be waiting for you." I didn't know whether to take this as a joke or not, but clearly the man had issues if he was going to make a scene over an extra Big Mac. I didn't say anything, and he turned and walked out. I wasn't too concerned with his threat at all, because I was only an hour into my 8-hour shift. I knew there's no way a man was going to wait around that long, and I didn't think he would actually do that at all. I worked the rest of my shift, which went by relatively well. In fact, by the time I was done, I had forgotten all about the incident. It was 10 p.m. when I was off, so I got my things and headed out to my car. As I approached my car, I saw a car at the other end of the parking lot's doors swing open. Sure enough, out walked the man from earlier. I couldn't believe he actually waited for me. I sprinted for my car and he chased after me. I almost made it to my door when he grabbed my arm. He started to pull me away from my car, and that's when I screamed like a little girl. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my pepper spray and sprayed it everywhere. Eventually it got his face in the struggle and he let go of me and ran away. I accidentally sprayed myself in the face as well, but I was able to get into my car and lock the door with my eyes burning. It didn't get me too bad and I was able to regain my composure after a couple minutes. I saw two people walking towards my car in concern. They asked me if I was okay and if they should call the police. I said yes, and the police arrived shortly after and took down my information. Unfortunately, the man got away, but I just feel lucky that he didn't hurt me. It still blows my mind to think that he waited around 7 hours to confront me.
Apparently so, because I'm not going to see any more of those, and this is the last
Man, that was a snoozer. All three of them.
I guess the first one was actually the best.
Yeah, definitely the best,
how
but it wasn't.
That was just so... Ugh.
It was just gruesome, a little gruesome.
Yeah.
But she said she wanted to jump rope, so hey, who's to stop her?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, we're going to be leaving this... Well, late enough, I guess. Some 10 in at night, I don't know. But this will be the last one for now. I'll probably start doing another video a little bit, maybe around Thanksgiving or December. So wish this man a happy birthday, which would be late, but
better late than never.
True.
I'm gonna tell y'all, we're gonna be having these videos come out where Shay's gonna put some things together. She's gonna interview yours truly, Hype Dad,
Yep.
and I got some new material coming, so y'all gonna love it. Watch out for it, and I'm gonna see y'all a little later.
Yeah, he gotta go to bed. He's pretty tired.
Yeah, I'm an old man now. I get sleepy early.
Yeah. Well, this is it for today. Well, tonight. You know what I mean. Good night, everybody.
Good night.